We should get a verdict in the Trump trial next week. We didn't learn much during the 6 weeks of trial, but we might learn a whole lot in the next big political trial. It's not a Trump trial. It's the Hunter Biden trial. He heads to federal court on gun charges in June. Among the witnesses, his former wife, his sister-in-law, who was also his ex-lover, and his ex-girlfriend. With us now, Ameshia Cross, former Obama campaign advisor and contributor for the Daily Beast, Marc Lotter, former special assistant to the president and press secretary to Vice President Mike Pence. Nice to see both of you. Glad to have you on set. Ameshia, is the Hunter Biden trial going to end up becoming, I don't know, at the very least a distraction?
I think it depends on how media covers it. What we've learned from voters is that they're not really interested in anybody's trials. They are a lot more concerned with the economy. They're a lot more concerned with being able to pay their bills. We know that they are concerned with housing, specifically the rising cost of rents, as well as mortgage rates. And that credit card debt is really, astronomical at this point. I don't think that the trials are going to have that much of an effect on the voting electorate at all, and especially in this case because Hunter Biden's not on the ballot.
Fair enough. And look, we're going to cover the economy in the next segment, so point well taken. It is how people are feeling, how they feel about it. This is Hunter in his deposition. I'm sorry, I'm an addict. I was an addict. I've been in recovery for 4.5 years now. I really work hard at it. I really work hard at it under an enormous amount of pressure. Was I an addict? Yes, I was an addict. Marc, to you, we know President Trump sometimes cannot contain himself in situations like this. Do you run the risk of making people feel bad for Hunter Biden?
I think the first trial is the one where you run that risk. This is about his addictions and him owning a firearm and not applying properly. The next trial, which is now moved to September, is the one that really holds, I think, more political danger. A, because people are starting to pay attention to the election, and B, this is about shady financial dealings, which can be indirectly, and I'm sure the campaign will indirectly tie them to Joe Biden. So this first one, probably more salacious, but also sad because of the addiction. The next one is definitely more troubling.
No, I think I agree with that. The addiction issues that Hunter Biden has have been covered widely. Right. And I think that because there are so many Americans whose families are also, going through this on a regular basis, there is some sympathy there. I think that it's an entirely different case when it comes to the weapons issue, and we'll see what happens with that. But holistically, again, Hunter Biden's not on the ballot. And I think that people can separate those. There are a lot of people who've had children that, did not necessarily go the way the parents wanted them to go. And I think that because there's so many other issues
think about what this, but when you think about the second trial, certainly the finances, and look, these kind of go hand in hand, right? Because during the gun trial, there's a lot of details that'll come out. Hunter Biden's 4 years of wild spending, $1.6 million in ATM cash withdrawals, $700,000 payments to various women, $400,000 clothes and accessories, $188,000, $189,000 in adult entertainment. These numbers kind of expand in people's heads, and then you all of a sudden, I think, would also have a sense of people saying, yes, where does he get all this money?
Well, I think that part of that can go back to he was employed. He has sat on various corporate councils and things like that. And just like anybody else, when we talk about President Trump's kids, they were employed as well. And children with famous last names tend to get well employed. This is not any different than anybody else who I think has benefited from their parents and their parents' work. If we're going to have that argument, then we can go down the rabbit hole for several people.
Chelsea Clinton ended up on NBC, so Jenna Bush Hager and others have gotten pretty cush gigs. All right, Marc, how do Republicans deal with this? And is President Trump and his team disciplined enough to not make people start feeling bad for Hunter?
I think it's easy in this first one. I mean, obviously, I think there will be a salacious factor to it, much like we saw in this trial in New York with some of the details that were coming out or alleged. It's the next one, I think, where they really need to dig down. And then I think the good thing is that having this trial, the first trial, the gun trial in June. Not a lot of people are paying attention. They're going to be focused on the debates. They're going to be focused on the conventions. But once we get into September, I think, and we go into those tax details, we go into that money, where did it come from, what did you do, what did you spend your money on, because that's where a lot of that's going to also come through. And then I think to your larger point, it's going to be, well, where did he get all this money from? These are problems because it's foreign money, which is what Trump has been saying for 4 years.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.